Podcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the second chapter program for February of CSINext. I am Mark Ogg, your chapter president. We continue with our great lineup of programs for you this year. Special thanks every month to Bear Corporation, National Gypsum, Allegiant, and Aki Studio. Those are some of our chapter sponsors. Without your continued support and involvement, none of this would be possible. So all of our chapter sponsors' web links are available on the CSINext website, so be sure and check them out. Today, we have Mr. Mike Prefling with Ryan Companies presenting to us. Mike is Director of Virtual Construction for Ryan Companies, and he will be presenting on the benefits and application of 4D scheduling and the use of the Synchro BIM application. So with that, I will turn it over to Mike here for a presentation. If at any time you have questions, please raise your hand. We'll get to you as soon as we can. And with that, I will turn it over to Mike. Mike, you're ready to go. As soon as I unmute Mike, we'll get going. Hold on just a second.
Hello, are you able to hear me now?
Yes, I can. We are good to go. Sorry about that.
No problem. Well, yeah, thank you for having me on. And like Mark said, I'm really going to share kind of our story at Ryan Companies on how we implemented 4D, which is combining the 3D models with the schedule, our use of Synchro as that software solution to do that, and then what it's done for us, how we've got it adopted, how we've implemented it and permeated it through our organization. And then at the end, we'll talk about the benefits. So again, my name is Mike. I work in I head up our virtual construction department at Ryan Companies. So we're a real estate development company, general contractor. We have in-house design and property management. So I'm on the construction side for all of the BIM coordination, 3D coordination, kind of, and enhanced construction technologies. That's all under my department. We're a national company. We have offices, I don't know, seven main offices and 13 when you include satellites. Headquartered in Minneapolis, very much a Midwest kind of a company in our look and feel, I would think. But yeah, we have offices, west, southwest, southeast, and then a lot in the Midwest. And so just this slide might be important later on, just because we do a lot on the spectrum of real estate. So we do the land development, the capital, the financing, working in capital markets. We have full in-house design, and the bulk of our revenue comes from our construction group. So we're a general contractor, and then we also want to own and operate the building after construction. So that gives us a broad perspective, or maybe a well-informed perspective, and you'll see why that matters here with 4D scheduling. So our observations with our scheduling process is that it largely occurs in a vacuum. It's a person, it's a scheduler or a superintendent, creating a schedule based on their experience. They sort of call individual groups and get their input from this scope, or their input from this scope. So it's just very siloed with limited communication. It's at least for us, again, it certainly wasn't collaborative, and it's very difficult to be iterative. So we were looking for a way to get better. So we're going to share that with you. And so I'm going to call it a couple of things. 4D is the let's call it the nerd lingo. 4D is just the schedule connected to the model, so you can see and visually see the sequencing of the schedule. So I'll call it scheduling schedule sequencing or maybe 4D. And the point of today really is how could you get this going in your organization? How could you start a little grassroots, or what would be some strategies to adopt? And then once you get a little something going, how do you scale? How do you make it repeatable? And all throughout that, you're building trust and relationships with all these influences or decision makers or stakeholders internally and externally. Trust is going to be paramount, as you'll see with a visual schedulization. So again, these were my strategies. I'm sharing more my story. I had 3 strategies. The first one, I knew I just needed some easy wins, instant gratification. I just needed to start winning some people over quickly, and that got me. And then strategy 2 was, now that I've got them, now that I've got a few key people, how do I drive into a more impactful and sort of just deeper rollout of this tool. And then strategy 3 is like that, just that kind of ongoing now, where you now have real champions of what you're trying to do with schedule sequencing. So instant gratification for us at Ryan, again, as a real estate development company, we do a lot of proposals and pursuits, and we're marketing land, and we're marketing projects for tenants and things. And so what worked really well, and Synchro actually, I've tried all of the 4D solutions, and I recommend Synchro very highly. They have really good outputs, image outputs, animation outputs. You can really amp up the graphics, and it's the easiest to use by far. So I just went with that. It's the shiny thing. Our real estate developers, our brokers, everybody liked it, and it was easy to do. I could get a very conceptual model, a SketchUp model, or just something that's very much half-baked, and very, very quickly, an hour, 2, 3 later, I've got a real good looking animation, or these kind of snapshots in time exhibits like you see on the right. And what we found in our pursuits was these played really, really well with the client. It sort of validated, it started to increase their confidence that we could do what we were saying we were going to do, and just numerous examples where maybe we would have finished second, but this is how we finished first. So it's not saving the day and winning the job, but it's just that extra little thing that got us from second to first, if that makes any sense. So again, I'm calling it the shiny thing, and I just went with it. I just said, I'm just pumping out these enhanced schedule illustrations, and people were eating it up all day. So now I've got a little something going, right? And these are just some examples. It can be not very much detail, like the colorful one on the right, or just some quick snapshots lower left. It's only 4 images, but this now becomes this powerful medium to communicate. The superintendent can stand up there and talk through things. If in an interview, client interview or something like that, you're just able to speak to something other than a horrible 200-page Gantt chart CPM schedule, And then on the upper left, we'll get into this one later. The more we can show of our in-construction activities, not sure you can see it, but we've got the drilled piers and the tower crane and the assist cranes and scaffolding. So there's the pure just building and structure illustrated, and then when you can start adding in that mobilization stuff or in construction stuff, makes it more real. You're building more trust. You're getting that superintendent to believe that this is a good tool for him or her. And so right away, for us, right away, I just saw a pivot. The culture starts to change. Teams start wanting more. Teams start asking, are thinking of things that I wasn't even thinking of. Hey, can we look at just this level? Can we sequence just this over here? Can you help me out with this? So now they're thinking, and it sort of turned some light bulbs on for our project teams and our development teams, and now we're cooking, right? So now it's happening, and we're starting to create that change. So strategy number 2 is again, for us as a general contractor, this ultimately has to benefit the field. Our superintendents, tradesmen, foremen, those guys and gals in the field, this has to benefit them. So I knew that strategy 2 is I had to go get them. I had to earn their trust, build street cred, have them working with me is gonna now create, actual valuable impact. So I've tried to find who was my staunchest opposer, who was the meanest, scariest guy that thinks that this is stupid and I'm just the guy who fixed the printer. Who's that guy? And that's who you want. You want to find that staunchest opposer, find out what's meaningful to him. Is it safety? Is it is it some long lead items? Is it what's going on with that particular project that's causing him concern, or he can't quite visualize or put it together in his head? And you and him side by side start working on it, and you'll just see, and you'll see that all of a sudden it starts to marinate a little bit. It starts to incubate in his head, and he starts coming on board, and he starts helping you and educating you and saying, all right, that's supposed to go this way. No, I think you did that one wrong. Connect these dots this way. Or he's saying, oh yeah, you're right. This is a bust in the schedule, or we've got this time. How can I feel it? And you can start optimizing. You can start iteratively optimizing the schedule, his schedule, whomever this person is that you're trying to win over. I can't say it enough. Like find out what's meaningful to them, and that's how you target it. That your approach and your communication style and what you're going to show and work really hard on. And so it takes courage, and you gotta see it through, and you got to do what you say you're going to do. But once you get this person, everybody comes, everybody follows. As them now as an ally and a strong ally, they're going to pave the way for you to get all these other folks that you're trying to help out. So with 4D scheduling, I would recommend using Synchro. Here's the message. You're not saying, I'm going to fix your schedule, superintendent, or I'm going to find all these busts. That's not how you communicate it. The way to communicate it is to say, this is to get that vision and that plan out of that person's head so that it can be clearly communicated to the rest of the team, to all the rest of us dummies. This is how we can understand, this very complicated schedule that for us superintendents write the schedule. So that's why I keep saying superintendent, but it's whomever is putting the schedule together. They're a pro, they're experienced. Our superintendents have 20, 30, 40 years experience. I'm not gonna fix anything. They already know it. They don't need this. So your message to them is, this is how you draw it out and make it in a very clear and understandable format. And again, you've got your own strategy as you're trying to implement this in your company. You're also trying to get that person, that superintendent or that schedule, you're also trying to help them think through things earlier than they normally would. So it's uncomfortable. You're asking them, what about this? What about this? And they typically wouldn't even be working on that for 6 months. But you're trying to pull that forward and bring to light any conflicts or busts or gaps, So I hope that makes sense on what your message is. It's not for the superintendent, it's not for the scheduler, it's for everybody else as a communication. How do you, it's so that you can communicate the plan. And so what we're gonna switch to next, so it's still under strategy number 2, and man, it just worked really well for us. Instead of trying to take the entire building, sequence it all up at early stages, like I said, when the superintendent might not be thinking about some scope or some sequencing because it's not happening for 6 months. Another strategy that I did was I'm calling them like micro 4D. So I would just focus on one portion of the building, and for us it seemed like the underground. The underground was just low-hanging fruit. It's easy to do, and it's coming fast, right? So it's front of mind, and you can really get detailed with it because you're focusing your efforts on this sort of digestible chunk, the underground. So you say it's the concrete sequencing, the foundations, the piers, the excavation, all this really getting out of the ground was a good way that we could get some guys on board that just don't even, they're saying, so many things are going to change over the 2 years of this project, it's silly to try to sequence the whole thing right now and find all these issues. So we say, all right, let's just focus on the underground. So you can see on the left is markups that I'm getting from superintendents and foremen of sequencing and things, right? Here's my information on the left, and then I can redigest it and serve it up on the right. So I'll play a couple for you. I hope these are coming through okay on the go-to meeting, but this gives you a flavor of how detailed you can be. On the left, it's all about the piers and the strip footings and the walls, so the shoring. But then on the right, the superintendent just couldn't quite put it all together how he's going to get out of the ground, because there was a lot of excavation that had to do, temporary ramps, shoring, piles, and sort of a first layer of rebar and ironwork. So again, you're seeing the videos, you're seeing the final product, a pretty video. The key is all of those meetings that you were having to get to this point. So it's those shoulder to shoulder contacts, sitting in a room, iteratively going through it, drawing out information from all these folks and bringing it together into the final summary. So first, it's not the pretty video doesn't matter. What matters are those charrettes and those sequences where you're working things out with the team. And so like I'm saying, I'm going to just hit play while I talk. That now we're driving deeper into our 4D agenda. We started with just the shiny things. Now we're doing whole buildings, and we've captured that staunchest opposer. Now we're doing these micro 4Ds, really, really detailed. And so the next depth that we got into was actually educating our VDC team on constructability, making them think less like computer jockeys that are just pushing buttons, understanding how software works, where now we as a VDC group can get smarter, can get better as construction professionals. So superintendents are now telling us about these constructability items. So as I'm putting together a 4D, now I don't need that superintendent to hold my hand every step of the way. I have my checklist of constructability items. When I put this schedule together, are columns coming on before decks? Do I understand the long lead items and how are they sequencing? Make sure I get concrete pour maps. Where's the tower crane pad? Really get into the steel sequencing, the erection shops, and scaffolding seems to be one that's been hot for us lately. This video that played, they wanted to turn over an amenity deck, or we promised that we were going to be turning over this amenity deck, and it was months and months and months and months and months on the schedule. Here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to do. And then once we flipped it to 4D and added the real world construction elements, in this case scaffolding, we saw, yeah, the deck will be done, but there's going to be scaffolding at those key moments in time for the decks above. And so it helped us retool the plan. Yes, probably in the weeks before that was all going to happen, they might have figured that out, but it would have just been panic mode or just been disruptive in some way. So now we worked that out months earlier than we would have otherwise. And so we've eliminated that. Again, temporary access roads, crane paths, whatever your product type is or your construction type is or project delivery, I would encourage you to go deeper than just finished product, like sequencing finished product. Try to get all those real world conditions into your 4D, and Synchro is fantastic at it. So strategy number 3. So now you've got it, right? You have a process. Your VDC or whoever is doing this for you is intelligent. Superintendents trust you, or schedulers trust you, and so it's going well. It's the norm. It's expected now, and so once it's the way, you can start doing. You just can continue to drive. I mean, strategy 3 is more like you've arrived now. So just make sure that you're keeping that expectation high. You're just following through. You're being faithful. You're being trustworthy, and you're doing what you say you're going to do, because you've worked so hard. You've got this great process now. Make sure that you're you're very humble but passionate about making sure it's the good stuff every time. And again, it's also just this great tool for many parties. If you have a BIM group, it's going to help them really get intelligent on construction and constructability. It's a great thing for younger folks to do, project engineers, interns, new PMs, because again, they're getting to touch the whole construction process or a scope, and it's partnering them with an experienced superintendent or experienced person. So that's a good thing, and it's just a lot better than having them comb through plans, finding doors and toilets or whatever, So it's a good medium for junior staff, and because it's a way to bring folks together. Yeah.
Got a couple questions on strategy 2 and 3. If we can hit those real quick before we get too far down the road.
Sure.
First question is on strategy 2, finding that guy. Is the thought process here more on individuals, or is it more of a one-on-one risk assessment exercise with your senior individuals using the visual tools?
Right. So let me think. That's a good question for sure. Again, my approach or our approach was more targeting individuals, saying in this region, this person has a lot of sway, is hugely respected, and doesn't believe that this is needed. And so that individual is who I would target and get them to then pave the way for me, I guess would be my answer. And it wasn't the most senior, the vice president of pre-construction. It could be a superintendent that just has deep experience and is well respected, and is going to be on this key project that you want to do for Dion. That's the guy.
Pretty much the guy that really knows how to get it done.
Yeah, right.
And probably a little old school, not too much new school, but old school, and just knows how to get in there and get it done.
Yeah, I mean, they have deep knowledge. You have to respect how valuable they are. They don't, and then you go to this message, right? Like they're right. They don't need this, but the rest of the team does, or all these other folks that are going to be working on this probably do, because they're not nearly as good or experienced as that guy. So that's just how you communicate it to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then this may relate more to strategy 3 there, and kind of what you were showing there with that video, which was pretty cool to see. With that type of application, are there any concerns that you are starting to get into or meddle in the arena of means and methods?
So
I think
meaning what?
Comes from the standpoint of, trying not to meddle too much in how a contractor is going to do their job. I mean, they're kind of responsible for how it gets done, technically, the means and the methods. But I know contractually sometimes there's that fine line when you're starting to meddle with the means and the methods, and if you start affecting things in a negative way, then lots of problems can come up.
No, for sure. Okay, so that's a key question to clarify. So when we're doing this sequencing, we're using that subcontractor's schedule. We're asking them, how are you going to do this? So we're pulling them into these review sessions and these charrettes. They are in charge. They are in control. They are contractually required to figure that out, and we're asking them to share those results, and we incorporate it into this 4D. So it's kind of like always getting better. We'll use the initial schedule, almost more like a milestone schedule for the major construction elements. So that's sort of, okay, in general, this is what we think is going to happen. Then we go hire subs and contractors, and then we get the steel erection from the erection group,
so it's when it gets to this point, it's a pretty integrated process.
For sure. Yes, the very first point, this fosters a collaborative environment. So you're not making decisions for people. You're just aggregating it all into this summary platform, which being Synchro.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so again, strategy 3, to get to strategy 3, or to just keep strategy 3 going well and healthy, is make sure you're staying hungry. Whomever is trying to get 4D going, or is now responsible for it, if there's an operational team that's responsible for it, just now your opportunities are to get involved with the early planning. And this is the second one, is very new for us, is now combining 4D plus lean. We are new to push-pull planning and lean last planner kind of charrettes. So that's new to us, and we're trying to figure out how to connect those two, and I'll get to that in a minute. And then the deep impacts come with those constructability reviews. Constructability might be the wrong word. It's just, like I said, it's the scaffolding, the access roads, the excavations, like all that in construction stuff. If you can bring that into the 4D environment, you can just make more decisions, more confident decisions. And again, it's all about like optimizing the plan, is what Synchro allows you to do. So let's talk about lean. If this is new to anyone on the call, Last Planner has a lot of the same benefits that Synchro unlocks for you, and so we knew we had to be able to connect those two. Last Planner is very collaborative. You're getting everyone in a room. They're putting all their scopes on the wall. Shifting things around. Optimize. You're getting buy-in, right? Everyone's in that room, looking each other in the eye, saying, "Okay, I can do that. All right, I can do that." Then, and it drives accountability, and so we like that, right? Collaborative, accountability, buy-in. That's good stuff. So now we're saying the good stuff from 4D is visualization of scope, allows you to communicate, and also ensures all parties are on the same page, right? I can show you a video or snapshots, and you as a mason can say, yes, that's how my wall is going up, and that's where I'll be at that point in time. A picture is a very clear way to communicate. And so, and 4D also, I keep calling it iterative or optimizing. Another way we describe it is rapid prototyping. We can quickly go through lots of scenarios, simulate, rehearse, simulate. Yep, okay, that's the best plan. So now what we've been doing now is combining those two, 4D and Last Planner, and we like to say, that certainty of outcome now is high for us. So apparently I like strategies in threes. So for phase, if your long-term goal, if this is ringing with you right now, I'll share how I approached it, and which has been pretty successful. Start kind of the same thing. It's that instant gratification. Phase 1 is introduce it into the pull planning session. Don't try to make Synchro at phase 1. Don't try to make Synchro live, and that's what the scheduler is trying to punch information in. Let the push-pull method happen as it always has. If it's sticky notes on the wall, just go with it. There's nothing wrong with that. And then after the session, you kind of digest those results into your Synchro, adding the site logistics and the in construction. You're working with that, senior soup, and now you've sort of combined the two, right? You've digested the pull planning session into the Synchro, added the site logistics type items, and you've got a great summary of what just happened to send out as, here's what we all agreed to, right? And then phase 2, again, phase 2 is a big step. As you're getting good at that, or you have some super users of Synchro, some real savvy lean facilitators that are on board with this 4D combination, it's your A team for sure now. Then you can make it live as things are happening on the wall. They're happening in the Synchro. They can see the results of moving that sticky note left or right, changing durations, right? You can see it happening. What's it going to do in this great, rich, illustrative environment, which is Synchro? And so phase 3, we're not there yet at all. And what we're looking for is something. So we do the sticky notes on the wall. So we have a very manual lean sessions, people writing on notes, sticking them on walls. So now we're trying to find out if there's an integrated digital solution where you're digitally working on the notes, and it's pushing into the Synchro, and it's like extremely integrated and seamless. So we're not at phase 3, but that's what we're trying to get to. Again, 4D plus lean, it's just furthering that principle that we want, which is a lasting relationship with contractors, general contractors, in-house technology teams, experienced field teams. All of these groups matter, and all of these groups have to work together, right? We're all going to have to go beyond the job site for the next 2 years. So we just really want this to be something that builds trust and collaboration, and it absolutely is. Just sort of starting to share some results. What you'll see is your maybe milestone schedule is too light of a term, but a schedule on the left, you go through some Synchro charrettes and you find out all the areas that need more detail. If I didn't understand it, chances are the concrete subs aren't going to understand it. So you start adding detail, adding clarity, and optimizing with more detail. Just constantly reminder, right? You want participation and engagement. So sorry, these are the keys to success: participation and engagement. You have to create these opportunities for unlikely teams to come together and work on these things together. So it has to be collaborative. And then if we go through the 3 strategies, pretty shiny stuff, just go with it. That's how you get them hooked. But then have a strategy with the field. Have a if you're going to target a person or it's a department, really try to really be empathetic. Like, what is going to be meaningful to them, and communicate that way and approach them that way. And then what I've liked a lot are these micro reviews where you're taking an extremely detailed look at one level or one scope or one area, and just many good things start to fall out from that. And again, I guess if you are going to be the one that's trying to drive this, you're going to be very quickly in a leadership position. You're going to have a lot of information. People are going to be depending on you, relying on you, and so I would say embrace that opportunity. Be humble, be trustworthy. They're investing in you, or they're trusting you, and so you really have to follow through and do what you say. But hopefully that does not scare you. You should really embrace this opportunity because it's going to do great things for you. So maybe most importantly, that's all fine, Mike, but has it actually done anything? So we did a 3-year study. We've been using Synchro since 2012, and so from 2014 to 2017, we did a 3-year study. And we looked at 12 projects. And again, I wasn't cherry picking the best ones. I knew I was going to have to back this information up, and people were really going to challenge me on it. So I picked our middle of the fairway type projects. I made sure if I picked a project that we use Synchro on, I made sure there was a comparable project, a fair comparable project that didn't use Synchro. So I knew I had to compare apples to apples, and I couldn't just cherry pick these perfect ones that are going to make my numbers look good. And so what we have determined is that now with the integrated 4D process, we are pulling out 2 weeks of construction schedule for every 6 months of total construction. So let me make sure I'm explaining that. So if before it was going to take 6 months to build, now with the integrated 4D process, it would be 5 months and 2 weeks. So we're pulling out 2 weeks for every 6 months of total schedule. And so in our finance department gave me the big green stat saying that just that alone, because again, keep in mind we're probably owning the land, owning the building, and all that during construction. Just those 2 weeks, so let's call it 4 weeks a year. Just that right there reduces our loan carry and our general conditions by $270,000 a year. So it's just been a home run, and we evaluated all all the solutions in Synchro stood out by far. So Mark, that's my summary, or that's our summary at Ryan Companies, how we started with 4D and have been trying to drive it to be more impactful ever since.
Okay, well, thank you, Mike. Folks, if and I see a couple questions starting to come in here, if anybody has questions, go ahead, type them in. They will show up here on my screen, and we'll get them in front of Mike. One question here, Mike, as far as how this type of BIM application, how is it addressed from a project specification standpoint? Is it addressed in a particular specification for BIM? Is it covered in the execution plan for BIM? I think that pretty much covers it.
Yeah. Yep, I think I understand the question. Great question. So how we've handled it is we haven't necessarily specified 3D requirements, but what we've specified are more like rules of engagement. So we put it in our bid forms, we put it in our design consultant agreements, and we absolutely address it in the BIM execution plan at our BIM kickoffs. And it's a rules of engagement. It's saying we are going to do 4D review and optimization. This is an iterative process. At a minimum, you'll be expected and required to participate and provide information and direction. So if it's not a BIM project, or that, some particular scope isn't going to be in 3D, we don't want to then put that on them. What we want, though, is for them to understand that they're going to be participating in an iterative efforts to optimize the plan. Does that make sense, Mark? My answer?
Yeah. Yes, it does. What next? I got another one here. What is the estimated, or kind of, if you can give us an idea of what's the cost impact for an organization that is either starting or is going to try some new integration and training on this? So kind of, is there kind of a, I'm probably sure it's related to the kind of the overall size of the organization and the type of projects and stuff. But what kind of impacts did you guys see when you were starting to implement this and integrate it and train on it? Because I'm sure, like with any type of new technology or any type of change in the system, I'm sure there was probably some bumps in the road and learning curve.
Yeah, so it's an easy entry to get started. There's very limited barriers to get started. I bought one license of Synchro at Ryan. It's not an expensive software, and again, I've tested them all. I promise you, I've tested them all, and Synchro has done a great job where you can tell the interface and how you connect things is built for not VDC specialists like myself. It's built for average users, project engineers, superintendents. That's who they want to be using this. And so they've got, they have great videos, they have great support staff. So I can't figure something out, I'm on a WebEx an hour later with somebody at Synchro, and they walk me through it. It's just a lot easier than you're thinking. It's a really easy tool to use, and getting a license is not very expensive, and then boom, you're off.
Okay.
Setting the grassroots.
As part of training and learning the product, do Synchro do they offer any, or maybe it's not even Synchro, could be some of the other companies out there also? I know there's other technology, but specifically Synchro, is there an ability to become kind of like a certified user of Synchro? Yep. Or something that you could have a designation that you are right, certified level user of this product?
For sure, Synchro does. They have a multiple day training, and they always have it in a couple locations. So I'm trying to think. We've sent people there. I think it was San Francisco, and they've done them in Chicago. So a couple of times a year, Synchro will have these. Send a few folks. You get well deeply trained, and then those can be your subject matter experts within your organization. So Synchro does that themselves, and we've used globally training. They have a lot of Synchro 101 courses or the essentials. Those are the two that I have used. Globally training, so it's kind of online and web based, but then Synchro a couple times a year has like an academy where it's like you said, at the end of the 2 days or the end of the 3 days, you're a certified Synchro professional.
So there's multiple options to become more familiar with the product and how it's used and applied.
For sure, yes.
Can you use Synchro without having specific scheduling software?
Yep. So that's another benefit I believe in Synchro is it's sort of this agnostic middle piece. So it will take P6 schedules, Microsoft Project, Excel. It'll take a dozen schedule formats, all the major ones, and it will for sure, yeah.
Wow.
And it'll also take 100 different 3D modeling formats. Whatever software you're using or you're getting, I'm sure you can get it into Synchro, or there's an export format to get it into Synchro. So yeah, they want to sit in the middle and be connected to all these other sources, and so they support a lot of different file types on the scheduling side or the modeling side.
Okay. What did
Mark,
you experience as far as learning curve / learning time as you implemented it? Did you find that the people that were using this as you guys applied it, they were able to latch onto it fairly quickly as far as ability wise, or did it take them a little while to learn it? Because I mean, I know some of the projects that you guys do, they're not simple.
Right. So what was probably a bad move by me is that our VDC group learned it first, and they started partnering, and so it's just kind of stayed that way. Like our VDC group are the technicians, and VDC person plus superintendent, they get it together. And so maybe I should have put it in the hands of the PEs and the superintendents first, had them learn it. So right, the VDC group, we're really good at software. That's our thing. We and all that stuff makes sense. So my answer is it was extremely easy for our folks to learn it, but it might be a kind of not a fair answer because the first group that used it was our VDC group. But for sure, since then we've put it in the hands of PEs. Synchro has a really good free viewer, so we do all the heavy lifting, and then now in the field on a digital plan station, anybody can pull it up, fly around, click forward and backward in time. So for the masses, they have a free viewer that's extremely easy to use. I mean, it's very simple and intuitive. It's click, zoom, pan, move a schedule slider. It's just really easy.
Okay. Got another question here. When you do the charrettes and you have everybody sitting around a table talking about how the project's going to be built, and let's take your example there you had early where you were talking about the piles and the foundations. On the left side of that slide, I think you had kind of a marked up drawing or plan. That right there on the left. I see that you've got, there's designations out there, C2, C1, et cetera, et cetera. Is there specific descriptions or nomenclature? I know in Revit they have like families. Is there specific nomenclature that you have to use on certain things, or can you just kind of identify them and number their sequence as you need to, or is there a specific
it's
order, not an order, I guess, but a specific language, I guess, that Synchro uses when describing and sequencing things?
Nope. It's not trying to make you do anything different. So if you have a very rigid nomenclature and scheduling process, it'll take it. We don't. We're pretty bad. Every schedule looks different, named different, capitals, lower cases, hyphen. Everything's late. Everything is unique per that superintendent, and it's just mirroring it. It just kind of sucks it in, and you see exactly however they named it is how it's going to come through on Synchro, and then you're just connecting pieces. All right, that wall goes to that task item. So there's no requirements to change the way you're naming things or setting up your schedules. It truly just sucks it in and then mirrors it. Whatever you did, it's mirrored.
Okay. Another question here. As far as it'll show the linking of all the different scopes of work and how the project comes out of the ground and how it goes together. Have you ever had any experience in either analyzing potential delays or impacts or changes in work? Does it allow itself to, you can kind of create whatever scenario you want?
Yeah, so we that's what we should be doing. We still, I believe, have kind of scratched the surface. Synchro has great analytical tools. You can resource load it. You can see kind of burn rate of cost, or like you said, you can set up all these scenarios within the same kind of environment and test things out. You can have it. It can give you. It can kind of do its own analytics and reports. You can do a lot on the analysis side. And we just don't do that. We're not there yet.
Okay. Okay. That's a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Do I have any other questions coming in? I don't believe so. And
The other
with
thing
that, go
I was
ahead.
gonna say one last thing also. Synchro, so they offer so if it's one software, it's 3D module and schedule module,
Okay.
but they offer the schedule module for free. So it's a legit CPM scheduler. It's the same as P6 or Microsoft Project, so they offer that for free. And then if you want the 3D, so maybe you could kind of see what you think about truly the scheduling side, and then you got to buy a license to get the full
Right.
3D capability.
Always got to get the license, right?
Yeah, yep. That's how they get you hooked, I guess.
Okay. Well, I think that will wrap us up for today, folks. Thank you for everyone who was able to attend today. Mike, great presentation. Saw one from you guys a couple years ago, and looks like you've come farther than when you were the first time I saw you guys present on the product, and it looks like it's been very, very beneficial. And I hope it was beneficial to the group here today. I know myself, just being on the front end of the technology stuff and learning more about BIM and its implications or applications and some of those aspects, this type of stuff really interests me, and it's been a huge help currently on the project I'm working on, and hopefully down the road also. So I hope you will be able to present to us again sometime in the future, and thank you very much for today.
Yeah, of course. Anytime. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you everyone for listening in.
Okay. Thanks, everyone.